In a world that only respects big victories, there was a creature fighting a very small battle. No one noticed it. No one stopped to help. Because to everyone else, it didn't look important. The ant was small, so small that its struggle was easy to ignore. While larger animals moved freely, the ant lived close to the ground. Every step mattered. Every mistake was dangerous. It didn't dream big dreams. It only focused on surviving one more day. The days were long, and the nights were cold, but the ant's world was simple. Find food, bring it back, and do it all again tomorrow. It wasn't a life of glory, just a quiet, persistent existence, a tiny heartbeat in a vast, indifferent landscape. The ground it walked was a map of tiny triumphs and unseen dangers, a world where a fallen leaf could be a mountain and a puddle, an ocean. Food was rare. The land was dry. The air was heavy. The future was uncertain. When others found abundance, they took what they wanted, feasting until they were full, leaving the scraps behind. When the ant found food, it found just one thing: a single grain of rice. It was pale and smooth, and to the ant, it was more than just a meal. It was a promise of another sunrise, another chance to keep going. It was a tiny treasure discovered in a world that seldom offered any. Others saw a barren field, but the ant saw a single, precious opportunity. The grain was heavy, heavier than the ant itself, heavier than anything it had ever carried. Every step forward pulled its body down. The ground burned beneath it. It fell. It stood up. It fell again. From a distance, it looked pointless, almost absurd. A tiny speck wrestling with a slightly larger speck, moving at a pace that seemed to mock the very idea of progress. The muscles in its tiny frame screamed, begging it to let go, to find something smaller, something easier. But the thought of its colony, the hunger waiting back home, pushed it forward. The weight was not just physical, it was the weight of responsibility. Other creatures passed by. A beetle hurried along, its mind on its own journey. A bird swooped down, glanced over, and flew away, unimpressed. Some didn't notice. Some didn't care. Some even seemed to laugh at how slow it looked. This tiny creature engaged in such a monumental, yet insignificant, task. They didn't see the effort. They saw weakness. No one asked why the ant kept going. Because most people only respect results, not the cost. They see the finish line, not the grueling miles run in solitude. They judge the size of the prize, not the size of the heart that fought for it. Some people live like that ant. They carry responsibilities heavier than they should. They work harder for less. They struggle in silence, away from the spotlight, their battles fought in quiet rooms and late nights. Their success looks small to the outside world. Their progress looks slow. They aren't closing million-dollar deals or changing the world in grand, visible ways. They're just making sure the bills are paid, that their family is fed, that someone they love is taken care of. But the weight they carry is something others never had to lift. It's the invisible burden of duty, of love, of just trying to hold it all together when no one else will. To the world, the grain of rice meant nothing. It was one among billions, utterly insignificant. But to the ant, it meant survival. Sometimes, one small win is everything. Not because it's impressive, not because it will earn you applause, but because it keeps you alive. And staying alive, when everything is trying to pull you down, is already an achievement. That single grain was the difference between an empty larder and a full one, between giving up and living to fight another day. It was the fuel for tomorrow's struggle, the quiet victory that mattered most. The ant didn't celebrate when it finally reached its home. It didn't stop to look back at the long journey. It didn't wait for approval from the others. It simply kept moving, delivering its prize and turning around, ready for the next task. Because when you carry everything yourself, you don't have the luxury of stopping. The work is never truly done. The relief is temporary, a brief pause before the next weight must be lifted. The reward isn't a trophy. It's the simple, profound continuation of life itself. The world never noticed the ant. It never got a parade, never had its story told. But the ant survived. And sometimes, survival is the loudest proof of strength there is. This is one story. There are many more. Thanks for watching.